1 week before the wedding, my fiancé William disappeared while camping with friends. I searched for him for a whole month, nearly going mad. But on Valentine's Day, I saw him embracing and kissing his first love in the couple's restaurant at the Central Square. William held the woman and whispered, "If this keeps up, I'm starting to not want to go back and marry Cindy." Zoe asked him if he regretted disappearing, if he really didn't plan to come back. He hesitated for a moment. "No regrets, let's play for another week. Anyway, our parents will cover for us. I'll show up again when she really goes crazy with worry." I hid in the crowd, watching their intimate interaction, and gave a bitter smile. The next second, I called home, "No need to look for William anymore, my husband can't be him." "Cindy, why have you suddenly stopped looking for William?" My mother was shocked when she heard what I said. After all, the last time William went missing while camping with friends, I searched tirelessly for a whole month, losing several pounds and becoming extremely haggard. I looked at the two people still kissing in the couple's restaurant and gave a bitter smile. "Yes, Mom, just consider William dead." After hearing this, although my mother knew I was speaking out of anger, she didn't ask for details and instinctively comforted me. "You should have done this a long time ago. What's so good about that man? Cindy, since you said to leave it to us, Dad will definitely find you a suitable match. So you won't cling to the one I never approved of from the start." My father has a fiery temper, and he was very happy to hear that I was no longer fixated on William. Before I could say a word, the crowd around us suddenly gasped as brilliant fireworks exploded in the sky. It should have been an extremely romantic scene, but all I felt was a chill in my heart. Looking at this man who had just accused me of being overly controlling with my first love, I could only think that my father was right. Even though I had never been controlling toward William. I met William through an online romance during college, and we went through a long relationship together. A few years after graduation, I proposed to him. Zoe came back 2 years ago. I have always known that William had a childhood sweetheart from high school, and over the years, he never avoided mentioning her to me. I always thought that by the time our relationship reached this point, there would be no problems. But a single phone call from Zoe, just saying I'm back, could make William's heart soar away. Over the years, I have given him absolute freedom and personal space. Yet he has deceived me time and time again. I begged him to keep his distance from Zoe, to stop using excuses like hanging out with his buddies to lie to me, and to spend less time with some of his old shady friends at nightclubs. At first, William did listen to me, but as time went on, he reverted to his old ways, nights out without returning home, living a life of nightlife and indulgence. What I least expected was that, over time, he would accuse me of being controlling. He even disappeared before our wedding. If this keeps up, I'm almost not willing to go back and marry Cindy anymore. But when you agreed to my proposal back then, you clearly said yes with teary eyes. Have you really been that happy during the month I've been looking for you? William. No regrets, huh? Let's go back and have another week of fun. Anyway, our parents will cover for us. No wonder your parents didn't let me call the police. They looked calm and unhurried, just saying they would find you. It turns out I was the only one anxious from the start. I don't want to go back and be manipulated by her. I'll show up again when she really loses her mind. William, I really have gone crazy with anxiety. Do you know how long it's been since I had a good night's sleep? I even became superstitious enough to seek out a Taoist priest, hoping you would appear. And you did appear, but it was with another woman. Disheartened and hopeless, that's all there is to it. I didn't want to watch them gaze at each other with such affection anymore, so I turned around and went straight home. As soon as I got home, I took out my suitcase and packed up all of William's things from the past 6 years and threw them out the door. The next day, I was woken up by a series of urgent knocks on the door. It was one of the rare good nights of sleep I'd had in a long time, so when I woke up, I was a bit dazed and opened the door without even looking through the peephole. To my surprise, it was William's parents standing there. The two of them looked displeased. William's mother, Monica, sneered coldly at my sleepy appearance and said, "Cindy, I heard from your parents that you're not planning to keep pursuing our William. What do you mean by that? Do you not love our William at all? Yeah, Cindy, why did you just stop looking all of a sudden? We, as your parents, are so worried." Accompanying William's mother's sharp questioning, His father nodded in agreement beside her and pushed the door open, entering directly. I looked at the two, dressed plainly yet exuding a shrewd and calculating air. A faint smile flickered in my heart, but my face wore just the right touch of pain, my eyes growing red. I had already been heartbroken by William, so putting on this expression was effortless. Uncle, Auntie, we've been searching for so long. Maybe, something has happened to him. Perhaps we should report it to the police. Who do you think something has happened to? Are you cursing your own fiancé like that? Maybe William just went out to clear his mind. David immediately became displeased, plopping down on the sofa and reaching for my tea. Monica, standing nearby, also looked unhappy and urged, Cindy, you are my daughter-in-law. Now that the wedding is just about to happen, how can you just say you won't look for him? You need to find my son right away, and then get married. Auntie, I really can't find him. Maybe we should call the police? I looked at the two of them, both fuming with anger, and for a moment felt nothing but annoyance. On the surface, I had to pretend to be helpless and suggest it. It was always like this before. Whenever I mentioned calling the police, Monica's reaction was especially intense. A flicker of guilt quickly crossed her face, then she slammed the coffee table with a fierce but inwardly weak tone. What kind of image is calling the police? The wedding is coming up soon, all the relatives and friends have been notified, and if you call the police now, it's just bad luck. That's not dignified at all. Yeah, if the police come, they'll have to investigate and interview people. Who reports the groom missing before the wedding? William's father, David, chimed in from the side, then sighed with genuine feeling. I sneered inwardly. They said calling the police was undignified, but behind the scenes, they were all snakes and rats, none of them good people. My poor son. Cindy. If you hadn't been so hard on him all the time, he wouldn't have run away from home. You rich heiress are no good either. I should have never matched you two in the first place. I should have let my son be with Zoe. Monica kept talking and even wiped away tears, implying that I'm worthless, too controlling, and saying that a spendthrift heiress like me isn't good enough for their son. I really don't know how William manages to brainwash his parents all the time. They complain about me so much, but they forget what kind of faces they themselves had when I first set my sights on William. Every time I go to their house, they practically want me to stay overnight, calling me their daughter-in-law so affectionately. In these past few years, the Jiang family has only been able to get by with help from my family. Now that they have a little money, they look down on me for spending too freely and despise my heiress attitude. Although my parents sent me abroad to study, I came back as a proper overseas returnee. How could they look down on me? Is Zoe's domestic university degree really that valuable? Thinking of this, although I was unwilling in my heart, my face was full of sorrow. Uncle and Aunt are right. Since you two have so many dissatisfactions, and William and I are not married yet, maybe we should just forget it. From now on, our family and yours can go separate ways, so that even after marriage, life won't be difficult. Wouldn't that mean? Monica's face briefly showed a hint of joy as she was about to speak, but David patted her to stop her and said to me, Cindy, we still plan to try. Marriage is not something to take lightly, it's not just about deciding not to marry. Don't be impulsive. We were just anxious earlier. I nodded in response. After seeing them out the door, I heard David scolding Monica in the hallway, look at you, what was that just now? Our Jiang family is indeed doing better now, but we haven't reached the top yet. We still need the Liu family in business. What kind of image would it be if we just broke off now? Monica suddenly understood and kept agreeing. I sneered inwardly, and at that moment, my father called me. Cindy, Dad has found a match for you. You two should get to know each other. Come home tonight first, have a meal together and see how it goes. I agreed without hesitation and quickly tidied myself up. When I got home, I was stunned. Leo? Is that you? Leo was dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, sitting proudly on the living room sofa. Seeing the surprise on my face, he immediately stood up, raised an eyebrow, and with a hint of playfulness said, What? Am I not good enough? I stared at Leo for a long time. Although the Shen family did have quite a bit of business dealings with my family, Leo's relationship with William had never been good. Leo and I had studied abroad together and were friends. But after I returned home and confirmed my relationship with William, Leo started showing a bad attitude toward William, deliberately picking fights several times, saying we were from different worlds. At first, I politely tried to stop him, but every time I did, he grew even more resentful of William. For a while, I thought he was simply unreasonable, and in the end, I couldn't help but show him a cold attitude as well. But now Leo says he's willing to marry me, even willing to step in as the groom now that I've already announced a specific wedding date with William, truly forming a real alliance with my family. It's simply unbelievable. In my impression, Leo has always thought I was too emotional and unable to see people clearly. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but smile helplessly and nodded repeatedly, qualified, but aren't you? Aren't you the one who hates me the most? Leo immediately understood the implication behind my words, a trace of awkwardness flashing across his face. I don't really hate you. It's just that you always revolve around that trash. Anyway, I'm willing to marry you now. Who else would want to take on your mess besides me? Ah, you're willing to marry me? I murmured, still feeling dazed. My mother stood beside me, frustrated and scolding. Cindy, can't you see? Leo has always liked you. He's always liked you. He just told me that every time he clashes with William, it's because he discovered William's insincerity towards you. William only uses you and tries to stand up for you. Leo looked a bit uncomfortable and cleared his throat. You just didn't get it before. He was only after your money, and you didn't even realize it. Then you stopped contacting me. How could you do that? It was indeed my fault in the past. I was blinded by William. Sorry, Leo. Hearing this, I felt a little embarrassed and quickly apologized. But he remained completely calm. Forget it, I'm going to marry you anyway. With the push from Leo and the Shin family, everything regarding my marriage to Leo was expedited and quickly finalized. The news spread rapidly, and almost all the prominent figures in the city knew about it, marveling at this powerful alliance and the perfect match of talent and beauty. After seeing the news, David and Monica hurriedly came to find me. The two stood at the door looking distraught, and as soon as I opened it, they anxiously asked questions, no longer displaying the arrogance they had that day. Monica cautiously asked, Cindy, why is everyone in the circle saying you're going to marry the son of the Shin group? What's going on? Weren't you supposed to marry our William? Facing their confused looks, I stopped pretending and straightforwardly nodded. Yes, didn't I tell you last time that I was breaking up with William? Besides, he's nowhere to be found now, and I'm not planning to wait anymore. Cindy. Don't be impulsive. Wait, Uncle will find William right away. Please don't be impulsive. 6 years of feelings aren't something you can just let go of so easily. I said nothing, watching them leave, a mocking smile slowly tugging at the corner of my mouth. Soon, a video was sent to my phone. Miss Cindy, this is the latest video. It was from the person I had assigned to supervise William, sending the newest footage of him. In the video, he seemed to be shopping with Zoe, arm in arm, looking very sweet. Then he received a call, and after just a couple of sentences, his face showed shock. What? Mom, you want me to come back immediately? Who did Cindy get engaged to? Mom, don't worry, we'll talk when we get back. William's face paled, and in a panic, he tried to leave immediately, but Zoe grabbed him and whispered in his ear for quite a while. I can roughly guess what she said. Sure enough, it wasn't long before William's panicked look faded significantly, his complexion brightened, and then he was angry as if he had been played, calling Monica back. Mom, I'm not coming back. Don't worry, listen to me first. I know Cindy, she loves me so much, she wouldn't treat me like this. All of this is just her way of forcing me to come back. Her controlling nature is exactly like this. Instead of sincerely trying to work things out, she resorts to these low tricks to make me come back. The more she does this, the more I despise her. David and Monica didn't seem to agree with this. On the other end of the phone, there were vague urgings again, probably pressuring him with concerns about the Jeong family's reputation, which made William very impatient. I got it. I will come back to get married. Stop saying anything more. If I didn't want to marry into the Jeong family, how could our family have thrived all these years? Alright, Mom and Dad, I'm hanging up now. When I get back, I'll make Cindy kneel and apologize at the wedding. The video ends here. I really don't know where William's confidence comes from. Leo appeared behind me, looking down at the video's end screen, a playful and teasing smile flashing across his handsome face. Fiancé, I heard he made you kneel and apologize. You're not going to reject me again, are you? Hearing this, I met his eyes and shook my head with a smile. No, I won't. I will marry you. William can do whatever he wants. Unexpectedly, I was just stating an objective fact, but Leo's lips curled into a meaningful smile as he nodded. Of course, that's for the best. The wedding day was approaching quickly, but William did not show up. William's parents comforted me, telling me not to worry, while urging William to come back quickly. Judging by the current situation, it seemed he was not listening. On the day of the wedding, my parents reserved the entire sky garden of the most luxurious hotel in the city and invited prominent figures and reporters from home and abroad. The entire wedding venue combined Eastern and Western styles, designed by a dedicated team of designers, making it look high-end and tasteful. Just as I had a few people prepare the fireworks, my phone rang. When I took it out, it was a name that hadn't called or contacted me once in over a month, William. I tugged at the corner of my mouth and answered the call. The person on the other end seemed to have expected me to pick up immediately, his tone becoming arrogant. Cindy, today is the wedding, right? You must be dying of anxiety. Now that there's no groom, you're stuck, aren't you? If you beg me now, I'll come back and marry you. At this point, I really didn't know what William was still being naive about, so I spoke softly. William, look up. William on the other end of the phone sounded puzzled, furrowing his brows in confusion as he looked up, then suddenly gasped. I knew he had seen the live broadcast of the wedding on the big screen of the office building across the street. This wedding was a joint venture between the Liu family and the Shen family, covering all the electronic screens in the city. At this moment, every screen was live-streaming my wedding. As the camera slowly panned, when Leo appeared in a bespoke suit, William's face instantly turned pale. Cindy, are you really getting married? Or, are you marrying Leo? William shouted until his voice cracked, unable to believe I was getting married and it was being broadcast live, and even more unwilling to accept that the person I was marrying was Leo, the one he had been at odds with all these years. Cindy, don't joke like this. I'm the one who will marry you. You even invited Leo to come and act with you, there's no need to provoke me like this. Don't you hate him too? At this moment, hearing him say these words almost made me laugh. I immediately said, I advise you not to speak about my husband like that. Just because you hated him before doesn't mean you still do now. William, do you think that just because you say you want to marry me again, I'll still come running to you like before? William didn't understand my attitude, so I continued, but why? Why should I marry a man who deliberately plays disappearing games with me? William had never heard me speak to him in this tone before, and he immediately panicked. I was just trying to prove whether you love me or not. Cindy, you stopped looking after just a few days, you really disappointed me. I could only remain silent. William was silent for a moment too, then suddenly realized that a phone call alone couldn't pinpoint his location. You just told me to look up, do you know where I am? I sneered and nodded slightly. William, I know much more than you think. How is that possible? How could you possibly know everything? The places I usually go are ones you never visit and have no interest in. William hurriedly looked around for paparazzi or photographers, but found none. Next time you go out with Zoe, don't choose places that are too close. We don't need to keep in touch anymore. I hung up the live video. The wedding went very smoothly, and even many names not on the guest list came to offer their congratulations. By the time William found me, the wedding had already ended. Leo and I had just finished the final dance and took our bows, and he had gone to rest. William slowly walked through the lavishly decorated wedding venue, momentarily stunned. Seeing my eyes red, he was clearly filled with envy and jealousy. Cindy, the wedding you promised to arrange for me wasn't even this nice. And you actually gave this to Leo? I looked at the somewhat broken William, my expression unchanged as I said, speaking of which, I actually have to thank you, William. Thank you for letting me go. Why you're thanking me? This sentence completely broke William down. He glared at me fiercely for a long time, then, as if he didn't notice any crack in my expression, his envy and jealousy turned directly into resentment. Cindy. If you don't marry me, you'll regret it. From now on, I'll be with Zoe. She will surpass you sooner or later." After dropping this harsh remark, William left arrogantly. Surpass me sooner or later? I couldn't help but laugh. She studied hard for 10 years, but how could she compare to my family's 3 generations of business? What on earth is this man thinking? Doesn't he know that Zoe's diploma is just the minimum requirement to even meet me in my family's company? She isn't even qualified to meet my father. I turned my head and instructed my assistant to cut off all cooperation with the Jiang family from then on. Later, when David found out about this, he came over with the equally defiant Monica to plead with William, but in the end, William, who arrived later, took them away. At this moment, he was extremely proud. "Let me tell you, Cindy, do you think I care that much about your family's money? Zoe already has a new way to make money. I don't need to beg you. From now on, she won't be any worse than you." In the end, they looked like clowns in front of me, and I laughed mockingly. Fine, I'll wait for her to be better than me. Nothing else matters, as long as the wedding can be held here. I tapped the hotel on this prime piece of land with my foot. The expressions of the few people changed, and they cursed as they turned and left. Since then, with my family cutting off cooperation with the Jiang family and withdrawing investments, the Jiang family was only down for a while before, along with Zoe, they started loudly seeking financing everywhere. Previously, it was always people from the Liu family who helped manage the Jiang family's small company, and the business deals were also some minor ones from the Liu family. Although small, it was enough to keep their family well-fed and prosperous. Now that the two families have broken ties, my family has also withdrawn the company's management team. The entire Jiang family company is currently hollowed out. Apart from a few entry-level employees they hired themselves, there is no one capable of taking on major responsibilities. Management has become extremely chaotic, and several people have resigned one after another. Yet they still naively believe they can manage well on their own, even thinking that the Liu family's people are timid and only interested in petty gains. Now, they finally think they can make decisions for the company themselves. It seems that recently, when they called those past business partners, their amateurish and presumptuous attempts at financing were too offensive. Many of the bosses' calls ended up coming to me. In response, I only said that what they are doing has nothing to do with me, nor is it the intention of our family. From now on, the Jiang family's company has nothing to do with the Liu family, so there's no need to call anymore. At the same time, I roughly found out what they wanted to invest in. Years of business experience allowed me to see at a glance that this is a scam. What kind of investment guarantees huge profits with no loss? It's utterly ridiculous. In this day and age, who still believes there are no losing trades in the world? But I'm not meddling, I just want other bosses to be more cautious, and it's best to remind those around not to throw their money in blindly. William, who didn't get the loan, naturally blamed me for everything, sending me several voice messages and calls. "Cindy, you just can't stand to see my family do well. On what grounds are you stopping those bosses from investing in my family? Are you trying to bully us just because of the Liu family? How come I never realized you're so petty and scheming? Let me tell you, even if you stop them from investing in my family, I found plenty of other bosses willing to." His face is truly hateful now, and I have no desire to continue talking to him, so I just hung up and blocked him. No need to guess, he's definitely demanding money under the Liu family's name. Whatever, when the amount gets too big, our legal team will handle it. Sure enough, it wasn't long before Liu Corporation's legal team came knocking on the Jiang family. The investors also terminated their cooperation before the money was transferred. William couldn't feel proud for a while and didn't even answer my calls. I heard he couldn't borrow money, so he took out a loan from the bank, using Zhang's company as collateral. Judging by the current timeline, it was obviously the small initial profits from the first wave of investment that made him overconfident. The second wave of rebates from that project made him mortgage his house as well. The entire Jiang family now walks with their heads held high, thinking the rebates have elevated them to the upper class, and they started indulging in reckless, retaliatory spending, buying luxury goods they couldn't afford before. Many friends told me they saw William strutting arrogantly in luxury stores. I also often received various boasts from him or them, some about luxury goods, others about new cars. In short, they've been living quite lavishly lately. I neither blocked him nor replied, but just took it as a joke. Without Lu Corporation, they were simply foolish. Before long, the Jiang family didn't receive the third and largest wave of rebates, and Zoe disappeared along with them. Overnight, the entire Jiang family fell from heaven to hell. The company couldn't manage its cash flow and was on the verge of declaring bankruptcy. Not only had the money they earned from Lu Corporation over the years been lost, but they were also buried in debt. The next day, William appeared at my doorstep looking haggard. Finally catching me just after I finished a business meeting and was heading home, he flashed what he thought was a charming smile. "Cindy." I had just gotten out of the car when I heard him calling me by a term of endearment from our early days, sending a chill down my spine. I pretended not to see him and walked into the villa courtyard. Unexpectedly, William slipped in before the door was fully closed and grabbed my arm, pleading, "Cindy, please listen to me for a few words. Our 6 years together, can't you at least hear me out?" I looked at his carefully groomed face, pulled my hand free, and felt nothing inside. "If you have something to say, say it here." William's face lit up with joy, then hesitated for a moment. "It's just, could you lend me some money? It doesn't have to be much, a few million will do. I'm really strapped for cash right now. Please, for the sake of our past friendship, help me out." I remained indifferent and helplessly shrugged. "I don't have any money on me, all my money is with my husband." William was taken aback, and just then the villa gate opened. Leo, probably seeing my car parked for a long time without entering the yard, came out with the butler to check. When he saw William, a mocking expression immediately appeared on his face. "Oh, who did I think it was? Turns out it's Mr. William. Coming to see our Cindy so late, is there something you need?" A trace of embarrassment flashed across William's face as he was about to speak, but Leo interrupted him, brazenly sizing him up and down. "I remember a few months ago you were flaunting the latest watch like you just bought it. How come now you look so down and out, not a single brand on you? Lost money in business and now here you are, borrowing money from our Cindy?" I. William was at a loss for words, feeling extremely embarrassed. Leo stepped forward, hooked his arm through mine, and with a nod towards him said, "Sorry, Mr. William, I'm still waiting for Cindy to eat, so we won't be seeing you out." Hearing this, William was even more ashamed, pretending to look pitiful as he looked at me. "Cindy, aren't you going to invite me in to sit for a while?" Feeling annoyed, I stepped forward and pushed him towards the door. "William, I've been very patient with you already. Now don't come to disturb our lives." As he was being kicked out, William's eyes reddened. "Cindy, later I'll be waiting for you on the bench by the river where we watched the fireworks together. If you don't come, I'll keep coming to bother you and your family." I remained indifferent, turned around and went back to the villa, and told Leo about it, wanting to ask for his opinion. Unexpectedly, Leo took a sip of soup and nodded quite decisively. "Cindy, go ahead. You know that when someone has nothing left, the last thing you should do is pressure them. What if he gets harassed again and can't handle it? It's very dangerous. Besides, you should go and put an end to it, but be careful." Leo's understanding moved me deeply. Later, by the river, I saw William, who had specially worn the white shirt I once said I liked to see him in. But now, looking at him again, my heart was completely unmoved. I could no longer find the feelings I once had. I thought it would end more gracefully, but his first words made me cold. William fixed his hair and eagerly said to me, "Cindy, I don't believe you really love Leo. Divorce him and be with me. What kind of life are you living now? A wealthy heiress who can't even come up with a few million and has to be controlled by her own husband. Aren't the Shin family being too cruel? I know you're being forced, and I feel for you. Cindy, come back. Let's live together." I found his speech downright laughable. What exactly about me is pitiful? Besides, I voluntarily let Leo manage my money, it's part of our marital fun. Thinking this, my tone turned cold. "William, this is my family matter, none of your business, right? Moreover, even if Leo and I divorce, there's no way I'd be with you." What a joke. How long are you going to keep pretending? I really don't love you anymore, William. Can't we just part ways amicably? My series of refusals and mockery finally made William's eyes well up. He choked up and began to morally manipulate me. "Cindy, my family is really falling apart now. Are you just going to watch my family be destroyed? What do our 6 years of love mean to you? Then I want to ask you, what do our 6 years mean to you? Worthless, right? You were the one who disappeared for a month before our marriage to be with Zoe, who forced you. Now, this is all your own doing, what does it have to do with me? As I mercilessly scolded him, William couldn't even shed tears anymore. Unable to keep up the act, he glared at me fiercely and left. Cindy. Don't regret this. The next day, he brought the whole family to the rooftop. When I heard the news, a crowd had already gathered downstairs in his building, pointing fingers and making a huge commotion. Miss Cindy, you're here. We already have people negotiating up there, but Mr. William disagrees and insists you come. He even says his family's bankruptcy is your fault, and if you don't come, everyone will jump together. The officer in charge of coordination was about to take me through the unit door, explaining the current situation as we walked. I frowned tightly, saying nothing. David and Monica upstairs saw me coming and became even more agitated, shouting down the stairs, Cindy, look at the state our home is in now. It's all your fault. You won't give the money. If you don't, I'll jump from here. Cindy, I really misjudged you, girl. Give us the money. We old bones have been ruined by you to the point that we don't even have a house left. Are you trying to kill me? When I arrived upstairs, quite a few officers were already mediating. David and Monica saw me and immediately became more self-righteous. At that moment, I felt a dull ache in my temples and couldn't help but say, what does your family's bankruptcy have to do with me? It's because you lacked investment insight and only chased quick profits that you ended up like this. Monica was furious, pointing at me. If you had married our William back then, would all these things have happened? If your Lou family hadn't withdrawn their investment, would we have ended up like this? But I clearly remember, when they withdrew their investment, they were actually happy and said they were sure they could run the company successfully in the future. I just felt it was absurd. This has nothing to do with the Lou family. If you had controlled your greed back then, at the very least, even without our employees, your company could have still provided for you. And you still want me to give money? At this moment, William, who hadn't spoken for a long time, finally raised his voice. Standing at the edge of the rooftop, he shouted at me, Cindy. If you don't give the money today, I will jump from here. No matter what, you will carry the burden of a death for the rest of your life. I looked at his crazed expression and was about to instinctively refuse, but then the police pulled me aside and told me to calm them down first, and we would talk later. William. You take your parents down first. I agree to the amount you mentioned last time. Reluctantly, I had to agree to give the money. William initially couldn't believe it, frowning as he looked at me. Are you sure? I want a contract. Sure. After receiving my assurance and confirming it repeatedly, they finally came down from the rooftop with joyful smiles. But as they approached me to ask for the money, they were instantly restrained by the police and handcuffed. For a moment, all three were stunned. What do you mean by this? William widened his eyes, while David and Monica struggled to run but were each controlled by the police. Sorry, Mr. William, you and your parents are now being arrested on charges of fraud and extortion according to the law. The police showed their identification and then signaled the others to go downstairs to be taken away. They had lacked education from the start, and now, having learned some brazen methods of extortion from who knows where, they ended up getting caught themselves. In the end, the group shouted as they were taken away. Because the two elderly people came up with the extortion scheme, they received the harshest sentences and will never get out in this lifetime. William was involved too, although only as an accomplice. He was still sentenced to several years. Before he was taken away, he looked at me silently with hatred, which made me uneasy. But my life had to go on, and since William knew my original address, I simply moved to a new place to continue living. A few years later, Zoe was also caught for defrauding the Jiang family. Because of her case, the police uncovered countless other cases involving huge sums of money, and Zoe was sentenced to life imprisonment. I felt nothing about this. She got what she deserved. A few years later, while I was pregnant, Leo and I were walking by the river, admiring the beautiful scenery. Over the years, I had gradually let go of the family business, preparing to devote myself fully to my family and the unborn child, which made Leo quite pleased and full of hope for our future life. What do you think we should name the baby? Leo asked gently, carefully cradling my belly with his hands. You decide, either is fine. Looking at Leo's handsome face, I leaned in and kissed him. It was evening by the river, and there were many people, making it very lively. Cindy. Leo. I want you dead. Everything changed at that moment. A disheveled man suddenly rushed out from the crowd, brandishing a knife. My heart sank. Leo was quick and protected me, kicking him down. Only when the kick landed did I realize this man was extremely weak, nowhere near as fierce as when he raised the knife. The man cried out in pain and looked up. It was William. Now he was gaunt, disheveled, and extremely thin. Clearly, he hadn't had a good life these past few years. Cindy. I want to kill you. William took a breath and was about to pick up the knife again to kill me, but in those few seconds, a passerby kicked the knife away and together they subdued him. The police soon arrived and arrested William. I was still shaken, and Leo immediately pulled me into his arms. After confirming I was unharmed, he coldly stared at the subdued William. Then we went to the police station together. It was through the police that I learned the truth. David and Monica had become depressed in prison and had committed suicide one after another. After William was released, he went mad upon hearing the news, nervously searching for me everywhere. Later, when William was sent to a psychiatric hospital, I went to see him once. Cindy. It's you who wronged me. It's you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill Leo too. I'll send all of them to hell. I saw him still shouting and cursing everyone all over the ward, feeling that the whole world had wronged him. I sighed and turned to leave. I'm about to give birth, Leo is about to become a father, and the three of us are about to start a new life together.